Well, hello everyone and welcome back to High Point. Today I thought I would take things with a little less energy. Maybe be a little more calm. That's boring. I'm just kidding. Welcome back to High Point, guys. I'm really excited that you're here. I'm not one of those people that can be calm and boring. I'm just way too naturally excited. And I'm super excited because we are going to learn more about how to show proper respect. But before we do, let's jump right in. What is the point, boys and girls? Tell me. That's right, you guys remembered. I will show respect to everyone. Do any of you remember where that comes from? Yeah, that's right. It's almost like the very beginning of our life verse, isn't it? Let's say that life verse together. I'll say it first and then we'll say it together, okay? Show proper respect to everyone. 1 Peter 2:17. Are you guys ready? Let's say it together. Show proper respect to everyone. 1 Peter 2:17. This verse says that we need to show respect to everyone. And guys, that includes our families. Believe it or not, sometimes showing respect to our families is actually harder than showing respect to, like, say, a teacher or a boss at a work. Because we get familiar with our families. Today, though, we're going to hear a story about twin brothers named Jacob and Esau. And guess what? One of the twins, Jacob, had a problem with respect. I'm not saying he had a little problem. He had a huge problem with respect. Let's see if you can spot all the ways that Jacob showed disrespect to his family. But before we jump into our story, how do we show respect? Do you guys remember? There are two A words. I'll give you a hint. Oh, I heard somebody. Actions and attitudes. Absolutely correct. Now, we are going to jump right into our Bible story. Now, I want you guys to listen really carefully to the Bible story. You're going to hear about not just Jacob, to be honest, the whole family that had trouble with with respect. At the end of the story, I want you to show me who in our story showed disrespect. Are you ready? Fantastic. Are any of you out there a twin? And I can't see if maybe you guys said yes or no, but I know twins. I know 2 sets of twins. I know 3 sets of twins. I know a lot of twins if I stop and think about it. Well, Jacob, he was a twin. His twin brother was named Esau. Now, the boys were twins, but they were not alike at all. Esau was oldest by a little bit. In fact, the Bible says that he came out first and Jacob came out grabbing his heel. So, I mean, they were like back to back. But technically, Esau was the oldest. Now, he had a lot of hair on his arms. Poor Esau, I know how he feels. And on his neck. Well, I'm not going to show you, but I totally get how Esau felt. He liked to hunt and be outside. I mean, I know these are some weird things for me to be telling you, but listen, it's very important because it's really important to the story. Now, Jacob, he was not like his twin at all. He didn't like to be outside. He was a lot happier spending time with his mom around the house. And he wasn't hairy like his brother. I know. Remember, though, I'm telling you this for a reason. Now, because Esau was oldest, he would become the head of the family when their father Isaac died. His inheritance would be the biggest. One day he would have more money and more power than Jacob. So he would be the head of the family and his amount of the inheritance would be bigger. Now, Jacob didn't think that was very fair. In fact, he didn't think it was very fair for his twin brother to get more money and more power at all. In fact, Jacob didn't just think about how unfair it was, he did something about it. And it was something very disrespectful. Do any of you like to cook? Yeah, I do sometimes. Depends on if I have enough time. I mean, I actually enjoy cooking, but a lot of times I'm busy. Maybe you like to help mom or dad cook. Maybe you cook for your younger siblings or cousins. Well, if you like to cook, you're like Jacob. Jacob, one day, he was making lentil stew. I'm pretty sure most of you haven't had lentil stew unless you've gone to the India Palace over in Mankato. It's amazing. I love it. Okay, anyway, back to the story. Lentil stew is a lot like bean soup. Do any of you like bean soup? I love ham and bean soup. Yeah, so it was kind of like that. One day, in fact, the day that Jacob was making this big pot of lentil stew, Esau had been out hunting, and he was hungry. I'm not talking like he was like, I'm a little peckish, I could eat something right now. He wasn't even like, oh my goodness, I'm so hungry. He was like, I'm literally going to starve to death if I do not eat right now. I'll just pass out dead. Now, truth be told, he wasn't going to pass out. He wasn't going to die. He was being a little bit of a drama queen, but that's how he felt. He was so hungry, and when he came home, he smelled Jacob's wonderful stew, and he ran over to Jacob. Now, Jacob had a chance at last. It was his chance. He could take that inheritance away from Esau. See, Esau wanted that stew really bad because he was so convinced, he was so hungry, he was going to die. Jacob, well, he wanted that inheritance really bad. And unfortunately, guys, this ended up being one of those things where it was a really bad trade. It'd be like saying if you took your, most prized Pokemon card and you traded it to someone for a rock that they found out in a gravel driveway. Something that's worth a whole lot for something that's really worth nothing at all. It's not a very good trade, is it? Have you guys ever made a really bad trade? I'll give you another good example. My wife tells a story about when she was young and her younger sister would have like a crisp $5 bill or a wrinkly one, and my wife would have like a crisp $1 bill, and she would convince her sister that the $1 bill was better because it was crisp and nice and not wrinkled, and so she would give the $1 bill to her sister, and her sister would give her the $5 bill. Not a very good trade. And that's exactly what happened here. Esau wanted the stew. He was so hungry. Mr. Drama Queen. And Jacob wanted that inheritance. He wanted that. It's called the birthright. He wanted it. And so instead of being a good brother and saying, yeah, absolutely, here's a dish of stew. There you go, brother. Hope you like it. Instead, Jacob kept the stew away from Esau until he made Esau make a bad promise. Esau was so hungry that Jacob said, no, I'll give you a bowl of this stew if you give me the birthright. If you give me your inheritance. That's a horrible trade. That's a horrible trade. Esau, though, was so hungry, he promised Jacob that he would trade his bigger inheritance, that birthright, for a bowl of Jacob's stew. So Jacob gave him a bowl of stew, and Esau said, here, go ahead, you can be the head of the family when our dad dies, and you get more of the inheritance. Have you ever made a decision when you're hungry, and it was a really bad decision, and you regret it? Yeah, that's what's going to happen here. It wasn't a very fair trade, and Jacob didn't show any respect to his brother that day when he cheated Esau out of the inheritance. However, Esau didn't show respect to his family that day either. When he traded his great family honor, the whole inheritance, the birthright, for a bowl of stew, he showed disrespect to his family by saying none of that is worth anything. I just want a bowl of stew. It'd be okay, I mean it's bad, but it'd be okay if the story ended here, but it doesn't. we jump ahead a little bit of time, and later Jacob did something else that showed his disrespect, not just for Esau this time, but for the whole family. He disrespected his dad, Isaac. See, Isaac was really old. Hey, older than me. I mean, probably only by a couple of years, but still, no, he was old, and he was blind. Not like wear glasses blind. He was like literally blind, couldn't see anything in front of him. He was blind, he couldn't see well. And the time came for Isaac to give away his blessing to Esau. See, back then, the dad would give a blessing to the oldest son. The blessing would then make Esau the head of the family. Ah, there's that birthright again. How many of you guys have a favorite food? I'm going to count to 3, really 3. I won't do anything funny this time. And I want you to shout out your favorite food. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Who said Brussels sprouts? Ugh, I don't like those at all. My favorite food is pizza. But if you were Isaac, you would have said Esau's savory wild game. Ooh, that was Isaac's favorite thing to eat. And so Isaac asked Esau, he said, go hunting and bring me back some of that wild game, some of the meat that you kill, and fix it up just the way that your old dad likes it. And then I'll give you the blessing, Esau. So Esau went off. Meanwhile, the boy's mom, Rachel, she was listening. She was dropping some eaves. Oh, she shouldn't have been listening, but she was. And she heard Isaac's plan. She didn't like what she heard. See, Rebecca, she loved Jacob more than she loved Esau. And there are reasons for it. We're not going to get into it, but she did. Jacob was her favorite. And she wanted him to be the head of the family, so she came up with a plan. See, Rebecca knew that Isaac couldn't see very well. I mean, he was pretty much blind. And she thought if they pretended that Jacob was Esau, then Isaac might bless Jacob instead. And then Jacob would become the head of the family. And now you will know why I told you about Esau's hairy arms and Jacob's smooth arms. Their father, she knew, would feel his son's arms, and that would help him to know which son was giving him the food. But how could they get around that problem? Remember, Jacob's arms were smooth, no hair. Rebecca had a plan. This is not a very good plan. But she had a plan. She wrapped goat skins around Jacob's arms and around his neck. And the skins made Jacob hairy like Esau. Rebecca also gave Jacob Esau's good clothes that he had left behind when he went hunting. And Rebecca did one more thing to help Jacob lie to his father. Yeah, lie. Lying's not good. She made the kind of meat that Isaac loved. In fact, she maybe even used Esau's recipe. So Jacob took the bowl in there with the plate with the meat, and he handed it, put it right in his father's hands. And Jacob said, "Who are you?" And Jacob lied to his blind father and said, "It's your son Esau." Was that kind of nice? No. Do you think that Isaac was fooled? Kinda. He wasn't entirely fooled. Instead he said to Jacob, "Come closer so I can touch you, my son." And so he came closer, and Isaac rubbed Jacob's hairy arms. And Isaac was shocked. I mean, the boy standing in front of him sounded like Jacob, but he felt like Esau. Isaac ate the food. It tasted just like the food that Esau made. He was almost convinced, but Isaac had one more test. He said, "Come here, my son, and give me a kiss on the cheek." So Isaac thought, I can't see him. He feels like Esau, but he sounds like Jacob, and he just gave me the meat that tastes right. Let's see how he smells. So Jacob went over and gave his father a kiss on the cheek. Now, do you think that Jacob passed that test? Yeah, he did. Remember, Jacob was wearing Esau's clothes, so he smelled like Esau and like the outdoors. Jacob had passed all of Isaac's tests. Isaac was sure that the son before him was Esau. So Isaac blessed his son, but he blessed Jacob, not Esau. Isaac made Jacob the head of the family. Soon after Jacob left the tent, Esau came home from hunting. He brought his food into Isaac and asked for the blessing. And Isaac was shocked again when he realized that it had been Jacob that had tricked him. Isaac was really sad. Sometimes you might hear your parents say, "I'm not angry at you, I'm just disappointed." That's actually a lot of times worse than them being mad, because it means we let them down. He was sad and disappointed. Esau, on the other hand, was really, really, really mad. Do you know how mad really, really, really mad is? Yeah, it's more mad than that. In fact, it's mad enough to kill. Esau wanted to kill Jacob. Jacob heard about this. Well, actually, Rebekah did, but she told Jacob. Jacob found out he had to run away from home. Here he thought he had won. He got the birthright, he got the blessing, he's the head of the family, he's going to get the bigger inheritance, everything's good. Uh-oh, my brother's gonna kill me? He ran away from home. He had to go, not just run away from home for, a city or a couple blocks, he had to go to a whole other country. He left his family behind and he went to live far, far away. In fact, he never even saw his mom ever again. His lying and his cheating had cost him big time. So kids, now that you've listened, who do you think showed disrespect in the family? If you think Jacob showed disrespect, clap your hands. Yeah, he showed a lot of disrespect. Jacob was disrespectful not just to Esau, but also to Isaac. But we're not done there. If you think Esau showed disrespect, I want you to clap. Yeah, guys, Esau was disrespectful when he sold his inheritance for a bowl of stew, and that showed that he didn't honor his father very much at all. Now, those were the two brothers that we said we were going to talk about, but there's somebody else in this story. Two more people. If you think Rebekah showed disrespect, I want you to clap. Yes, Rebekah was disrespectful when she helped Jacob trick Isaac. See guys, Isaac is the only hero in our Bible story. He is the only one who didn't show disrespect. He was the only one who was respectful. So let's see if you guys can answer a couple of questions about who showed disrespect. Yes or no? Jacob disrespected Esau by getting him to sell his inheritance for a bowl of soup. Yes. Yes or no? Esau disrespected his family by selling his inheritance for a bowl of stew. Yes. Good job, guys. Yes or no? Jacob respected Isaac by lying to his father. No, lying doesn't show any respect at all. Yes or no? Rebekah respected her husband Isaac by helping Jacob trick him. No, not at all, guys. The disrespect in Jacob's family caused a whole lot of problems. Let's see if we can answer some questions about the trouble that disrespect caused. So who in the story lost their inheritance and their blessing? Yeah, that's right, Esau. Who never got to see her very favorite son ever again? Yeah, Rebekah. Who made his brother so angry that the brother wanted to kill him? Jacob. And who had to leave home and run away? That's right, Jacob. And who never got to see his mother ever again? Yeah, Jacob. That's a lot of disrespect, guys, and a lot of sadness, isn't it? If the family had been better at showing respect to each other, they would have been a whole lot happier. There's a lot of lessons we can learn from this story of Jacob, Esau, Rebekah, and Isaac. We have to show respect, guys. It makes our lives better and happier. I think we should pray right now because we need God's help to show respect to our family members. Will you pray with me, please? Dear God, help us to show respect to our families. It isn't always easy, but we know that you will help us. We want to show our families respect through our actions and attitudes. Help us remember to do that even when it's not easy. In Jesus' name, amen. We love you, Jesus. Thank you for your help. And before we go, I think we should just say that point one more time, because after that story, that heavy, heavy story, it's pretty important to remember, I will show respect to everyone. I will show respect to everyone. Now, just a little clue for you guys, but this isn't the last story about Jacob and Esau that we're going to hear in this unit. A little bit further down the line, we'll hear another story about them. Maybe we'll call it part 2. Until next time, when I see you here again on Sunday, I pray that you will have a week where you can show respect to your family and not be like Jacob and Esau and Rebekah, but that you'll instead be like Isaac and show respect. I'll see you back here at High Point, but until then, don't you ever forget that you are loved so much more than you will ever be able to understand by God and by us. Ciao.